Welcome to Kiangal, a new fantasy total conversion mod for EU5, with its own unique fantasy races, fates, and mechanics, built and designed by Paradox players specifically for EU5 to take advantage of its time frame and mechanics in ways uniquely our style. Counter to the long mission trees of EU4, Kiangal seeks to embrace the dynamism and focus on variety of outcomes that EU5 vanilla has, with an emphasis on creating a vast array of situations, disasters, international organizations, and more to keep players engaged into the late game. No scripted mid-game disasters as a part of a nation's story to nerf them. Instead, the focus is on dynamic disasters for ages, regions, and fates that can be outskilled and avoided, or challenged head on for a juicy reward as you rise from the turmoil ever stronger. Perhaps even some rules for configurable mid and late game challenges to truly test our players' skills as you challenge the strongest characters in our setting for dominance. For the gods are very real in Kiangal. Though their powers have diminished, they are far from finished using mortals as their puppets for affection, vanity, or simple power, their influence being felt by mortals across history as champions rise and calamities loom with each age. The ebon dove Perida, goddess of control and order, the pallid raven Aelenti, god of destruction and freedom to his followers, or anarchy to his foes. These gods were bound together by conflict, reigning over the other gods through might. Their tyrannical reign shattered multiple gods and caused many wars. However, their violent ends brought most of Kiangal's races and cultures into being and filled the lands of the gods with vibrant environments and bountiful supplies of miraculous substances sure to drive innovation in later times. Perida betrayed Aelenti and formed the elves from his shattered essence. These mortals, infused with divine essence, were intended to surpass mankind in every way. However, they continue to embody Aelenti's urge to destroy and be free, or occasionally instead, Perida's inverse desire to control and leech off the power of others. There are rare exceptions, however, where elves have formed strong communities and found healthy ways to channel this nature of theirs. Despite millennia, some gods remain in the shadows, watching as their servants nurse old grudges, and fact twists to myth, and the actual facts of the gods' war of ages past turn to myths and continue to drive legendary rivalries across Kiangal. Perhaps with the advent of codified magic study in recent years, the desire for mortals to obtain the magical power of the mythic substances found overseas will bring these factions into contact once more. A second God's War seems inevitable. Nayalapa, goddess of nature and protection. As the gods fought and devastation spread across the east of Khiangaol in the lands of Eurastris, she sought to keep the harm to a minimum and to protect the land itself from the struggles. She created a race of brutally strong tribal folk known as the Shifters. The folk of Neolapa were formed to guard the wild places of the world as she took the shape of a tree and stretched her roots far to see and heal the wounds of even the most distant lands on the world. All of her work was undone, however, by her own son Thalzin, god of storms, as he turned the deserts to glass and covered her home in an endless storm, seemingly never to be healed. Her mind, similarly, was fractured, and to this day, her many roots and personalities fight one another for dominance. Perhaps one day her followers will repair her fractured mind and slay her errant son. However, the world is slowly learning the value that wood taken from this divine tree is invaluable for its inability to rot and its self-repairing qualities even when detached from the tree itself. The coming age of industry has no further use for shapeshifters in the wilds, nor divine trees that protect nature. Radiant, proud, and betrayed by his own children, the sun god Raitama sought to charm the world to his side in a grand coalition to unseat the tyrannical Kurita and Aolenti, creating the Raikumi in the process. A people tailored to be ambitious in seeking his approval and favor, to burn themselves at the brightest kindling possible, despite their embers never reaching his heights. In truth, the sun god may have a mirthful face, yet he lacks all empathy. Rather, Raitama wears his deceptive smile and bestows hollow benevolence as his followers throw themselves on the pyre for him. He and his followers care not for what cause the ambition supports, merely that friend and foe alike give their body and soul in the pursuit of the unobtainable. To this day, the Raikumi live short lives as folk of short stature, doomed to build realms that shatter from their own pride and the people's ambition, desperately navigating Kiangal in the hope to one day find where their god rests when the sun sets, and in so doing find the limits of pride and earn peace at last. Malthus, the god of grief, knowledge, and fate, born knowing his own doom, he lives beneath a shadow that no light could lift. Wherever Malthus walks, grief follows. Every life he tries to save, every kingdom he seeks to help, falls instead into ruin. Every god he sought to aid has shattered. He loved once and lost her. He raised a daughter, and she abandoned and forsook him. Even the dwarves he created were left without his guidance, still new and fragile when he turned away in sorrow. None know where or why he vanished, yet all dwarves insist their father remains unshattered. Many dwarves have stayed loyal to Malthus, carving their tunnels into the deepest roots of Kiangal in search of their father. Others abandoned him in favor of either gods adopted from other faiths or contrived, such as worship of the ancestors, or for very concepts themselves, as all dwarves love nothing more than debate. Finally, some dwarves sharpen weapons amongst the magma flows in the depths of the world, nurturing hatred in the very core of Kiangal itself, waiting for the return of Malthus, to put an end to their father who abandoned them. Malthus's knowledge of fate is a curse. He sees the end of all things, but is powerless to change it. And so he lingers, waiting for his hourglass to empty, mourning not only what has been lost, but what is still to come. Olwe, goddess of love and ice, mother of mankind. She separated her home from the other gods, forever splitting her new safe haven of Mirova in the west from the eastern lands of Jurastras where the gods battled. There she created mankind, sheltering them from her winters and loving them as her own children. Yet her love was never warm. To her faithful, she seemed distant, unreachable. To her enemies, she was a being of cold neglect. And from this neglect rose rebellion. Benarium, a tribal mercenary of mixed heritage, decreed all gods false and cruel. Wielding his mythical marbled mace, he forged an empire for mortals alone, an empire that rejected the divine. Olwe continued to wait in silence at a distance, hoping that one day her children would return to loving her once more. With time, however, mankind only further forged their own faiths and left their mother forgotten. Olwe stewed in the northern wastes of Aeraith with her last supporters, mankind nearly all having abandoned her. After all the betrayals and all the grief, Ulwë declared war upon not only mankind, but all mortals, seeking no less than to wipe the slate clean and create new mortals more compliant, ones who would never be able to stop loving her. The year is 1337 mortal age, as many years since Benarian's decree of mortality began the eradication of love for Ulwë among mortals. 1 year ago, she struck the lands of Vestrit, shattering the empire of Benarian's descendants, leaving only a broken crescent. Kiangal lies fractured, leaderless, waiting. Will you bring Kiangal new purpose, or finish its ruin? Join our Discord server and discuss the mod with its growing team. Whether to ask questions, discuss world building, or to join the project, all are welcome. Our team consists of folk of all modding skill levels, and we welcome any who have no experience but wish to give modding a try as much as we welcome experienced veterans. Thank you all for watching. More content to follow, discussing the design philosophy, lore, our map, and more. I hope to see you next time, and bye for now.